There are a ton of issues, symptoms, and comorbid conditions that come along with ADHD, but luckily for us, it's not all bad. There are also a couple of not entirely terrible symptoms to ADHD that are actually quite interesting. And perhaps the most powerful of these is a little thing called hyperfocus. And I'll explain what that is while I build this Lego Camaro in one sitting. So grab your favorite beverage, sit back, and enjoy. I've loved Lego as long as I've been alive, I think. And I personally believe that it's probably the single best activity for the ADHD mind than anything I've ever tried. And here's why. In order for an activity to be engaging, it's got to fulfill a couple different requirements. First, it has to be challenging. Things that are easy are boring. It's pretty straightforward. If you have ADHD, you have to constantly be doing things that are challenging for you. If it's too easy for you, it'll bore you quickly and then you will stop doing that thing. The next is novel or new to you, which is typically also challenging, as doing new things is hard. So if you're doing something novel, then you're killing two birds with one stone. The third is creative. It's pretty self-explanatory, but essentially you just need to engage the creative part of your brain, which is something that I've talked about in a previous video that I'll link here. Fourth is interesting, and it seems pretty obvious, but in order for something to engage you, you have to have some level of interest in that thing. And this is different from novel in that it's not new to you, but it's something that you will keep coming back to over and over again because you love it and are interested in it. And finally, it has to be rewarding with a tangible outcome, preferably one that you can see and feel right away, like the finished Lego product, because immediate gratification is probably the top priority for any ADHD brain under any circumstance. If you're spending a lot of time doing something and not seeing the results of it, you are probably going to quit that thing sooner rather than later. And Lego just ticks all of these boxes, so it becomes very easy for me to achieve a state of hyperfocus when I'm building Lego. But maybe you don't like Lego, something like an advanced paint by numbers or a puzzle might do the trick as well. The point is, you just got to make sure you're trying to hit those requirements when you're looking for an activity to fill your time with. So what exactly is hyperfocus? Well, it's that thing that happens when you're doing something that you love, when the entire world melts away and hours and hours and hours can pass, but you have seemingly infinite energy for whatever it is that you're doing. It's often called a flow state. You're just absolutely locked in. And this is why I consider this to be a superpower. It allows you to accomplish incredible things in seemingly impossible time frames or circumstances. If you ever wondered why you perform best in a crisis scenario or when there's a deadline coming up in a few hours, it's because the stress hormones and adrenaline is forcing your brain into a state of hyperfocus to allow you to do what you need to do in order to survive. I mean, it's not the healthy kind of hyperfocus, but it is hyperfocus nonetheless. And that is how I have gotten myself out of many a pickle with looming deadlines and a lot of stress. And I know all of my fellow procrastinators out there will have experienced this at some point as well. Now, the concept of hyperfocus can be a bit confusing for people who aren't as informed because they think, hey, doesn't ADHD mean that you can't pay attention to things? I think this is mostly due to the word deficit in attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, but it's actually an attention surplus. Your brain pays way too much attention to the world, and your diminished executive functioning ability is what prevents you from controlling that attention like neurotypical people can. That's why you were never able to sit down and pay attention through 5 hours of class, but you could spend 5 hours on YouTube watching videos about the niche subject that you're into. It was never about not being able to pay attention. It's about not being able to pick and choose when you can access that attention and not being able to control what you direct that attention towards. And so the truth is that if you have ADHD, you have to accept that you can't force yourself to do things you don't want to do. But you can give yourself a ton of dopamine by just giving yourself the permission to hyperfocus on the things that you love. And so that means making a committed effort to do this. I'm not talking 20 minutes a day or something. I'm talking a few hours. Hyperfocus takes a lot of time to ramp up, but once you get there, you can and will get lost in that sauce forever. And that's what you want. So don't put a time limit on it. Think of it this way. In an 8-hour workday, I'm willing to bet you spend more than 2.5 hours procrastinating in some way cumulatively over the day, which is about how long it took me to build this. But I just got all of my procrastination out in one go in one hyperfocus session. And whatever amount of dopamine that I got out of this is a way better use of my time than spending it in a ball of anxiety, worrying about that unread email or phone call you were putting off or appointment you had to make. So when you are doing the thing that you love, allow yourself to be present in that activity. I promise you, your problems are still going to be there when you're done, so you might as well forget about them for a little bit and just enjoy yourself. Being able to hyperfocus is a privilege, so whenever you are able to tap into that, use that time just for yourself. Oh, look at that, we're done. Hope you enjoyed and subscribe for more.